again, Dr. Prashanth Janardhan. Over to you,
Yeah,
doctor.
yeah. Thank you very much, Dr. Umesh, for your kind words. And I'm not that of a person to get so much praise from you. And thanks for these words anyway. And thanks for the opportunity by KSTA to share my knowledge related to the topic that we are going to discuss today. Uh, Good evening. I hope my screen is visible.
Yes, yes, sir.
Oh, okay. Thanks once again, Umesh, for this wonderful opportunity. And I welcome all the students and the teachers to this particular session. So I'll be sharing whatever knowledge that I have in this particular domain. So kindly feel free if you have any doubts or queries in between. You can just ask me, or if you have anything, you can just type it in the chat box. I will be happy to clear them at the end of the lecture. Right. So the topic that was given to me was like what are the engineering fields that a student can select. Engineering is one of the lucrative area where most of your parents will force you to get into this. Some of you will be very much interested on your own to take this particular domain or area, or some of you might be coming to this because of some other choices. So whatever will be the thing, engineering always helps the student to have a very great career as such, whether it is just after engineering or after further studies, if any student gets into higher studies. So with this brief introduction to engineering, today I will be speaking about the engineering careers after 12th, where your dreams meet machines. So the topic title that I have given is the dreams meeting machines. So the engineering, this is one of the fantastic thing to know that you have the idea of bringing out the originality of whatever the idea that you have. That is, whatever you think, if you really work into the direction in which you are dreaming, you can definitely bring that particular dream into reality. So that is what engineering is. So we bring the dreams to reality. And in this lecture, I will try to keep it as interactive or as humorous as possible, so that you will also have a interest while looking into the seminar or hearing to the lecture. Sorry, what happened? Yeah. So, probably I wanted to start with this particular slide before getting into what you have in engineering after PUC or 12. So, probably you might in your PUC select three specialization. One is your commerce or arts or science. So, since the organizers have said that there are no students from commerce or arts, so I will be skipping those two particular domain. So mainly I will be concentrating in the science domain. So in science, you basically select four subjects, four major subjects, which is PCMB, physics, chemistry, mathematics, and biology. So if you are interested in medical field, whether it is in paramedicals, nursing, so in those type of areas, so normally you will concentrate on three major subjects, which is your physics, chemistry, and biology. Now, apart from it, you have two more options. One is PCM, which is physics, chemistry, mathematics, and the other is PCMB. So some of them are not always certain whether they will get into the medical or into the engineering field. So in those students normally select the PCMB, whether so that if they get a good chance in medical, they will jump to the medical field, or if they get interested in engineering at a later point of time, they can come back to engineering. So the major combinations that you require for your engineering, since you have already taken it up, it is PCM, which is physics, chemistry, and mathematics. And once you have taken up these three subjects. So you have a range of opportunities to study higher subjects under this domain. So the most commonly selected one is your BTech or BE, Bachelor of Engineering or Bachelor of Technology. So both of them are basically nothing but your engineering course. Apart from it, if you are interested, you can get into the BArch, which is Bachelor of Architecture, or you can get into NTA, where you can join the army, or any other options as such. The B, once you do it, it again opens you up to many other avenues. Like you can go for foreign studies as a higher education program, or you can go for ME, MTech under any higher institutes, or you can work in the private sector or in the government sectors. Otherwise, you can again take something called as Indian Engineering Service exam, which will land you in a job in the railway sector or in any of the public sectors. Right? So this is an overall view of what engineering is and what it can land you after getting a degree through your BE or BTech. So we will be discussing about the future after BE in detail at a later stage. So this is just an overall glimpse of what you might have or what you might get if you select engineering as your domain. Now, so why engineering, or what is engineering? This engineering is one of the most preferred course after the PUC other than the medical. So because the first and foremost thing is the medical nowadays is very costly. That is, the fees is too high. Even for the government seats, the fees is very high comparatively. So most of the student and number of seats that are available are also very limited. So most of the people, students will try to opt this engineering, because the options that are available in engineering is very vast. That is, you can apply your engineering knowledge in any of the domain, whether it is in the electric field, or whether it is in the civil engineering field, or whether it is in the mechanical, whether it is related to water, whether it is related to atmosphere. So any area or any domain that you take, there is a chance of studying engineering in that particular area. So that is why, since it has so much vast disciplines that it accommodates within itself, engineering is one of the most lucrative and preferred course after your PUC. So what basically engineering is? So engineering doesn't only mean wearing lab coats and solving some equations, sitting in the classroom or something like that. That you will have to do it because you need to get the basics. So, but once you get the basics, engineering actually, if you see, it is a Latin word which includes two words in it. One is ingenium, which means the innovativeness or the cleverness. The other word is ingenierie, which means to derive. That is, you are imparted with a knowledge that will help you to use your cleverness or your knowledge to devise an equipment or devise any method or any technology that will simplify your work. Fine. So that is what basically engineering is. Engineering basically is used to reduce the effort of human being. So for example, is your vehicles that you use. Initially, we used to walk for such long distance. It will take time and it is very tiresome. So then we invented bicycle, which reduced some of the effort. But bicycle again, you will have to pedal, so it is again cumbersome. So then came the two-wheelers, where you only had to use your hands and legs to change some lever and gear so that the vehicle will move. And updated version of it is your cars and other higher vehicles. So like this, basically engineering is a field in which you try to reduce your efforts. And the most important thing that you have to know is, without engineering, any other domain or any other course that you take cannot survive. Whether you take your medical, whether you take your journalism, whether you take your MBA, any of the other specializations or courses that are there, engineering is the backbone to all of these courses. So that is why engineering is very important in the human history. as well as understanding and learning engineering is also very important. So, in today's lecture, I will be dealing with some of the most commonly selected branches in engineering. What are the options, career options that we have in it? What are the salaries that you can expect in these branches if you study? And what are the future opportunities that you have if you select these branches? So we'll be discussing in detail in for few of the branches as such. So you might have a doubt, engineering is fine, I will try to find something, everything is fine, but why I have to study engineering? So as I said in the first beginning itself, the most important thing is the engineering is used to use your knowledge to solve real world problems. So earlier we had a problem of water shortage in a town. So we found out that we can bring water from the rivers or the lakes from the nearby areas. So we devised some technique, we devised some equipment to bring the water. So like this, we as engineers will always try to solve some or the other real life problems. Nowadays, you might say that most of our problems are resolved or anything as such. Even though some of the most common problems are resolved, there are many other problems that are still prevailing in the nature. Like, say, for example, protecting our environment, because the environment is getting polluted very drastically, and because of this pollution our weather climate conditions are varying. So you need to find a solution to bring back a sustainable climate or weather. Further, you need to also think in the area of the water, because water is getting polluted too much. Then you also have to think of reducing the pollution. So anything as you take, the problems will never end, and so do the solutions to this problem. So that means that the field of engineering is evergreen. Whether you take the beginning of the human life or the end of the human life, engineering will always be there. So that is why engineering or studying engineering is a very advantageous, I would say, rather than lucrative. So apart from it, the engineering, the advantage is the job security. Say a civil engineer, if some of any of the students select civil engineer or a mechanical engineer as their domain course, they do have a chance of working in computers or software field as well. Similarly, a software working computer science engineer can also design softwares for mechanical engineers, can design softwares for civil engineers. So the jobs opportunity that you have is not limited to whatever the domain that you study, but it can be extended to other domains as well. So does that mean engineers are superheroes? Probably I might say that they are superheroes because we try to solve the problems which are there in the field, and we try to give a solution and help the human life to sustain on the surface of the earth. So that is why sometimes we engineers can also be regarded as superheroes, not just the doctors. Fine. So, what does engineering include? So, if you take it in the English sense, it includes many words. Like it includes innovativeness. You need to be innovative. Say, for example, I will give you a very simple example for innovation. Say, there is a simple problem that whenever you are using staplers, the pins that are there inside the staplers, you will not know when it is going to end. Correct. So what happens is sometimes when you are in a hurry, you try to staple it and the pin is not there, and you search for the pin box, so it will not be available. So it becomes quite what you can say, it becomes quite tension based environment at that moment. So there was a school child actually who gave a solution, or a rather a simple solution to this problem. What he or she suggested is, let's put a colored pin at just before two or three pins before the entire set of pin is going to end. So what does this do? So whenever you are stapling, whenever you see that colored staple coming out of the stapler, so that means that there are only two or three more pins left, and you need to restock your stapler. So it is a very simple and ingenious solution. So like this, you engineers or the students who are going to study engineering have to be innovative. Further, they also need to be creative. They need to have a very good technical background, whether it is in physics or chemistry, depending on the branch or the course that you're going to take. You have to be very precise, because if you see even a small millimeter or a micrometer variation, the entire project is going to fail. Because if you take the Mars mission or your moon mission, even a very very minute change in the thrust that you give to your satellite will change the entire course where it is going to land. So like that, it has to be very, very precise. You have to be logical with your solutions that you're going to give. You need to have a very good problem solving skill. You need to be thinking ahead of your peers. If you want to be a very successful engineer, you have to integrate the various knowledges that you have acquired from various subjects that you have studied, and you have to be versatile in the sense you must be very adaptable to the field. Say for example, sometimes in an emergency basis you might not get a ruler to measure something, so then you must have a device within yourself, like you must have some approximate adaptable means by telling that I will measure using my hand or my legs, say 1 feet 1 foot. So like that, you must have some versatility in your thinking, so that if something is not available at the moment, how can you overcome the problem with the existing technology around you. So by integrating all these English adjective terms, you can be a successful engineer. Even though the terms seem very complex or very high level, but if you actually get into the field and when you start working, you will feel that they are nothing as such, and you can easily tackle any problem that you have if you have the required expertise or the required knowledge related to that particular problem. So because of all these opportunities and all these options that you have in front of you, engineering becomes one of the most adopted or successfully selected course after your 12th. So the engineering is basically divided into two segments. Some divide it as core engineering branches or core engineering courses, and the other is the allied engineering courses. So core engineering courses are the one which basically are called as the father and mother of engineering, because they are the courses which started off the engineering as such. Then, using these core branches, there are certain branches that have developed afterwards to curtail a specific problem. They are called as allied engineering branches. So, the core engineering branches, it mainly includes your civil engineering, mechanical engineering, electrical, computer science, and chemical engineering. Sometimes electronics and communication is also fitted into this core. So there is always a debate which subject or which course is a core engineering or which is a allied engineering as such. So we'll be discussing in detail about these core engineering branches, and I will be discussing some of the allied engineering courses as well. Right. So the first and foremost is your civil engineering. So why civil engineering and what civil engineering is? So civil engineering, basically you know that it is nothing but we use the knowledge that we have gained to construct buildings, and not only buildings, the entire infrastructure in any country. Correct? We construct bridges, we construct roads, we construct buildings, we construct dams, any structures that you take that are there on the surface of the earth are basically built by civil engineers. So if you did not have the civil engineering knowledge, probably you might have still stayed in the caves that were carved by the erosion of the water or erosion due to water. So we can say that without civil engineering, nothing can prevail. And civil engineering is considered as the mother of all the branches because it is the starting point where the human being started to think in the view or in the field of engineering, because the housing or the accommodation is the first and foremost thing that any human being will think of apart from food. So, and that is when the civil engineering started off. Right? So, what skills you will require to be a successful engineer, civil engineer? You need to be very good at solving problems, whether it is the field problems or whether it is the problems that arise while designing or anything as such. You have to be very creative because if you see, there are different shapes to the buildings that are being constructed nowadays. And how do you get these different shapes? So, all these things basically, if you are a good civil engineer, you can think about it. And you need to be very good in something called a structural analysis, which is a technical aspect which you will learn when you select civil engineering as your domain. Now, what are the opportunities that you have if you finish your engineering, civil engineering? So you can work or you can join any of the government agencies. In Karnataka, we have BBMP, PWD, you have your BDA building, you have your BWSSB water supply. So there are so many engineering or specifically civil engineering government agencies where you can join and be a engineer. Apart from it, you can work in many of the private consultancy firms, or if you feel that I don't like working under some people, you can have your own company at the end of your engineering course. So that is the advantage that you have in engineering. That is, if you don't like working under anybody, lastly what is the option is you can open up your own company, whether it is consultancy, whether it is design or anything as such, and you can work for your own. Or if you feel that I am not well versed with design and analysis, the other thing that you can do is you can use your civil engineering knowledge. You can create few online videos, you can create some tutorials, you can create some notes and upload it in the online domain where others can download. And depending on the number of downloads that you can convert that into revenue. So not only that, you have to be a civil engineer and you have to work with buildings as such, you can also be a soft civil engineer where you can use computers to uh, share the knowledge of civil engineering. So what is the salary that you can expect? So what are the salaries that I'm giving or showing here? They are the initial salary that you might or that you might get whether you work in India or abroad. It is not the exact amount as such. So it is just a range based on the knowledge or experience that I have acquired in these fields. Right? So you can land in a job with a salary of somewhere around minimum 5 lakhs to 12 LPA. Sometimes it can even go a little bit down depending on the market as such. So I have seen where people do work for a job with a salary of somewhere around 3 LPA, 4 LPA as such as well. And I have seen civil engineers who work with a salary of 15 LPI and more as well. And if you are into abroad or if you are interested, if you apply any jobs in the foreign countries, you also have an opportunity to earn somewhere around 60 to 100,000 per year. Some of the top recruiters that hire in civil engineering is L&T, because L&T has so many branches apart, whether it is in computer science or whether it is in civil engineering as such. We have a government sector, PWD, NHAI, DRDO. Then you have data projects who do hire civil engineers. Apart from it, there are many more recruiters as such. Only some of the top recruiters I have named here. And some of the colleges that offer civil engineering is most of your engineering colleges do offer civil engineering nowadays. But some of the top tier colleges are includes your IITs and NITs. So the next branch is mechanical. So mechanical as such is also one of the oldest branch in engineering because as soon as the human being started searching for food, he started developing mechanical tools. So he started developing sharp tools like knife or something to kill the animals. So that is nothing but is your mechanical engineering. That is to develop some tool to reduce your effort. So the tools, they started off with a simple knife or any sharp objects. Then nowadays, if you see, they develop so much complex machine parts, where if you turn a small, if you give a small revolution, you can see that the entire telescope rotates, or the entire aeroplane is moving. All is this because of this mechanical engineers. So mechanical engineers are considered as the backbone of any industry that you take. And if something is moving, that is because of mechanical engineers. Right? What are the skills that you require? So basically, you require something related to thermodynamics, because whenever you have any machine parts or anything that is moving, it generates heat. So anything related to heat, you have to know through thermodynamics. Then you need to know the design of the machine parts, which is called as computer aided design. Then, apart from it, you need to have the analytical skill to solve these design problems and thermodynamic problems. So, what are the opportunities that you have? You can get into automotive industry, you can get into aerospace industry, you can get into robotics, even you can start your own manufacturing industry as well. What are the jobs? So, it is similar to somewhere around for civil engineers as such. So, it is around 6 to 15 LPA, and somewhere around 70 to 110,000 dollars in the foreign countries. So, who are the top recruiters? So, we do have our ISRO, which recruits mechanical engineers. They also recruit civil engineers. They recruit almost all the types of engineers as such. Then you have Tesla, which is bringing out your electric cars. You have Boeing, which manufactures aircraft. Then you have Maruti Suzuki, which gives you the budget cars as such. Then you have our Indian Railways. Right? Some of the colleges, top colleges includes IITs, NITs, BITS Pilani, where the engineering branch is very strong as such. The next is the electrical engineering. So, what are the equipments, what are the models that are being developed by the mechanical or the civil engineer? Ultimately, what you need is the electricity to run them. And if you don't have electricity, the entire earth will become dark, apart from the time when the sun is there. So that is why electrical engineers are also one of the most suited people to what you can say, to enhance the humankind as such. Because if you see, till now we are not able to extract 100% electricity from your hydroelectric power, or whether you take your nuclear power plant, any of the power station that you take, we are not able to extract 100% electricity or 100% power. So there is still opportunity to improve the models that are there, improve the design that is there. You can see how you can improve the efficiency of the power generation. Further, even during power supply, you have too much amount of loss, because you supply electricity to wire through wires, and wires, because of resistance, will have loss of electricity. So as a electrical engineer, you can think of how you can reduce these loss, how you can increase the power generation capacity. So, what knowledge or skill that you require? You must be well versed in circuit design. You must be good in power systems, and you must have a very good problem solving capability. What are the career opportunities? You can work in power plants, whether it is Kaiga power plant, or any what is that? Ganesh Gudi power plant, or any other power plants as such. Or you can also get into any of the industries where the cars are manufactured, where electricity is a very important aspect, because any of the vehicles that are manufactured, they do require electricity, whether it is through battery or through anything as such, and that is where you come into picture. Apart from it, you can also get into the field where studies related to renewable energy is going on, because the generation of electricity, everything is through the electrical engineers. So as you can see, most of the engineering, core engineering fields will land you in a job within the same salary range, somewhere around 5 to 15 LPA on an approximate in sorry, in India, and in the abroad it is somewhere around 50K to 100K as such. So you have NTPC, you have Siemens, you have Schneider Electric. So all these are top recruiters in the electric domain. So you have many of the NITs, IITs, you have BMS, you have NIE, JCE. All these colleges do offer electrical engineering. The next is the chemical. So the generation of electricity using your batteries, so they are done by electrical engineers. But what happens inside the battery, that is taken care by your chemical engineers, because you do make the reaction between two chemicals for the generation of the electricity. And that reaction is taken care and is controlled by the chemical engineers as such. And their main job is to transform raw materials to useful products. So whatever the raw materials that are there, the chemical engineers do try to convert them into products. So that is what their ultimate goal is. So their opportunities are endless. Wherever you have raw material, there the chemical engineer comes into picture. Say for example, if you take our bricks, there also the raw material is your sand and soil, and what reaction happens between these, that is taken care by the chemical engineers, and they tell us what, at what temperature we have to heat it and how do we get a solid mass, anything as such. So chemical engineers do help us in developing products through any of the raw material that is present on the surface of the earth. So they do also get a salary somewhere around 17 to 15 LPA and somewhere around 70K to 120K in the foreign countries. Their top recruiters include Reliance, ONGC, ExxonMobil, Pfizer. So some of the pharmaceuticals do require chemical engineers. Some of the chemical using industries do require chemical engineers. Some of the oil based industries do require chemical engineers. So, chemical engineers are one who not only produce new products, they also are responsible for safeguarding the environment, because the waste that comes out of the industries, they are basically the waste which cannot be decomposed easily, and these chemical engineers, they help us in reducing the effect of this waste that is coming out of the industry, and what are the effluent that you leave it to the river, they get treated off naturally. That is basically is possible because of the chemical engineers who are present in that particular industry. So where you can study chemical engineering, okay, it is there in many of the IITs like IIT Madras, IIT Guwahati, NIT Tirchi also has chemical engineering. You have UDCT Mumbai where you have chemical engineering. So like this, you can select chemical engineering as your domain as well. Next is computer science and engineering. If you see, this particular engineering branch is not called as just computer engineering, it is called as computer science and engineering. So we include science along with the engineering to the computers. That is, we use the scientific knowledge that we have in our 12th or in any other domain, and use that scientific knowledge in computer engineering to develop softwares or to develop the build up the hardware or anything as such. So we do scientifically study and then apply that particular knowledge to solve the problem. So that is why it is science and engineering. So we do create applications, we create games. So you have your mobile softwares, mobile operating system. So all these are basically is because of your computer science engineers. And this computer science engineering is one of the most lucrative profile or engineering branch in the present scenario. So in the present scenario, if you see, the computer science engineering is one of the most lucrative, and if you see, many of the engineering colleges do take somewhere around 200, 300 computer science engineers. They take they have many derived branches of computer science like data science, AI and ML engineering, something like that. So there are many sub courses of computer science and engineering that is running, and all this is because of the boom that is happening in the IT field. That is because of the artificial intelligence, which is growing very drastically. So, so you might be very much interested, or you might feel that no, now since this is under boom, so I will select computer science engineering only. I will study computer science engineering only. But the problem with the computer science and engineering is, as time goes, as you age, so as you become senior or you become old enough, you will be disregarded from the market as such. You will be considered as a what I can say. You will be considered as a burden in the market rather than a opportunity as such. So that is the disadvantage that you have if you select computer science. That is, you can work only till a age uh, age of somewhere around 45, 50 or something like that, which after that your knowledge, your idea, if you don't improve it according to the market, you will definitely fall back and you will become a burden in the market and you will be thrown out of the company. So computer science is very much developing, and the idea and the knowledge that is there in computer science is getting upgraded on a daily basis. So it becomes very difficult to match or cope up with the growth that is happening in computer science domain. So if you are really good in self studying, or if you are really good that I'm going to study further, I will not stop once I get the job, then computer science is your domain. But if you feel that I'm going to get a job and then I will stop studying, or that is sufficient for me, then you will become very difficult in the it will become difficult for you to survive in the market as such. But the thing is not same with the other branches. Say if you take your civil or mechanical, whatever the basic knowledge that you have acquired will always remain as such, whether you become old or whether you become young. So that is why the computer science as such, even though it is very lucrative, it is like stocks in the market. So sometimes it improves, sometimes it doesn't improve. So what are the skills that you require? You require very good programming skills, working with the computers, and you have very good opportunity if you become a computer science engineer. You can work in IT field, you can work in gaming, you can become an AI research engineer, you can develop your own websites, you can become an entrepreneur. Anything is possible if you become a computer science engineer. You can develop your own softwares depending on the requirement of the end user. So like this you can have any opportunity. And one more advantage that you have in when you if you take computer science engineering is the salary. If you see the salaries for the remaining branches till now, I just showed that the salary is somewhere around 5 to 15, but if you see computer science engineering, it goes somewhere around up to 30 LPA in the initial stage itself. So that is why many of the students are now very much interested in computer science. But the thing is, this 30 LPA increasing further in as you gain experience is not that easy. Whereas in case of other engineering branches, increasing your salary once you age or once you have your experience is much easier as compared to computer science. So if you take civil engineering or any other domain as such, the salary that you get after you become a experienced engineer is much higher than what you get as a computer science engineer with the same experience. So some of the top recruiters, any of the IT companies that you take, Google, Microsoft, TCS, all recruit computer science engineers. And most of your IITs, NITs, all the engineering colleges that are there in India right now do have computer science and engineering in them. The next I could say it is one of the core branch as well is the electronics and communication. So it is considered as one of the toughest engineering course as such. That is because of the subjects that you are going to study in it. The thing is, in case of electronics and communication, you need to understand the language of the machines. In case of your computer science, you type it in English and the computer will decode it for you or encode it for you. Whereas in case of electronics and communication, you have to know the knowledge of computer or the machine, and then you have to write in that particular knowledge. So that is where your electronics becomes little difficult, right? So where does your ECE comes into picture? What are the mobile phones that you are using? What are the laptops, TV, anything that you are using nowadays are connected, because it is the electronics and communication engineers who are behind it. So what subjects you need to, or what skills do you require? You require signal processing, you need to study VLSI and other types of subjects. So you have opportunity in almost all the domains. If you are a ECE or electrical, electronics and communication engineer, you can get into telecom, semiconductor industry, anywhere. And even in this case as well, the salary is little high. I have projected it little low, but even in case of ECE, you can end up with a salary somewhere around near to 30 LPA, similar to your computer science. And some of the top recruiters include your Qualcomm, Intel, Ericsson, ISRO. So all do require your electronics and communication engineers. And most of the colleges like IITs, NITs do have ECE in them. The next is this is one of the allied branch, information technology. So this is derived from your computer science and engineering branch. So as the name says, in this we you basically work with the information that is there in the world. So you try to digitize the information and you use that information in the computer to work with or to program with or to do anything with that particular data. So they are nothing but is your information technology engineers. So they are basically into the consulting firms. So many of your banking sector requires IT people, because the data that they store in the computers, they need to work with this data, and IT people are the one who work in that particular domain. So they are very much well versed with the working with the data in the computer assets. So that is why they are called as information technology engineers. So you need to be good with converting your hard data that is there in the form of papers to the digital data. You need to be good with programming with the data. You need to be good with working with the data. And it is similar to your computer science engineering. You can land in a job where the salary is somewhere around 20 to 30 LPA as such. Now the top recruiters, all your computer science recruiters do recruit IT people as well, whether it is IBM, TCS, Wipro, or anything as such. So almost all the colleges of IIT, VIT, nowadays triple IT have come up, where the IT branches or domain is there. The next is the aerospace engineer. Again, as you can see, this is a allied branch of mechanical engineering as such, where they exclusively deal with the design of the aeroplanes, whether it is for the movement of the people or whether it is for the movement of the for war or anything as such. These aerospace engineers are the one who design and build the aircrafts. So your aviation field is DRDO. They do require aerospace engineers. So your ISRO, everybody require aerospace engineers. And some of the top recruiters include your Boeing, Airbus, ISRO, NASA, and all. And your IAC, IIT, IST, Trivandrum. So all do host or have aerospace engineering branch in it. Next is biotech. So biotechnology engineering is somewhere you will use your biology knowledge in the technological field. That is, you work with the biological factors like your genetic engineering or microbiology, or something where you will try to work with the DNA, or whether you try to use this knowledge of biology that you have gained to improve the technology as such. So the major applications include your pharmacy, whether it include in the growth in the agriculture. You nowadays hear that you have something called as uh, hybrid seeds, or you say that you have hybrid what you call fruits, hybrid vegetables. So they are basically because of these biotechnical engineers. So your Biocon, Serum Institute, WHO, these are the top recruiters of your biotechnological engineers. Then you have automobile, which is again a derivative of mechanical engineer, where they basically work completely in the cars and motorbikes. So they work only with the cars and motorbikes. Whereas if you see the mechanical engineers, they work with the machines, they work with the aircraft, they work with the cars, they work with everything that is related to the movement. Whereas automobile engineers, they mainly concentrate only on the land-based vehicles, which is car, motorbikes, something like that. So you have your electric vehicles and all. They are a combination of your electrical engineers as well as automobile engineers working together. So the top recruiters include your Tesla, Maruti, Ford, Tata Motors. So these are some of the top recruiters of your automobile engineering. And many of the colleges like your RU College, VIT, Vellore, Manipal, they do have automobile engineering in them. Next is something a marine engineering. So this marine engineering is not a very common branch in India or in most of the colleges, but this is one of the top paying jobs you can say. But getting job is little difficult, or the opportunities that are available are less, but the jobs that you will land with, you will have a very good salary options if you be a marine engineer. So this includes your everything related to the sea structures, ships, shipbuilding, your offshore structure design, everything comes under your marine engineering. So all your ports, navy, coaching shipyard. So they are some of the top recruiters of marine engineers. Your IIT Madras, NIT Surathkal, NIT Calicut, your IMU Chennai. So they are the colleges or institutes where you have the marine engineering. Then comes the environmental engineering, which is a derivative of your civil engineering field. So they basically deal with the environment. They will work with the water, storage of water, purification of wastewater. They work with the purification of air, everything related to reducing the pollution in the environment. They are done by these environmental engineers. So that is why environmental engineers again is a very lucrative profile, because industries compulsorily have to have environmental engineers in them, and once the environmental engineer signs, then only the waste can be discarded into the open atmosphere or into the river. If there is no signature of any environmental engineer, then that particular industry will be fined very heavily because it causes pollution. So that is why environmental engineers are very much preferred, because the industries are growing, so they do require environmental engineers regularly. So next is the mining. So mining engineering is basically nothing but is your tunneling or working under the ground. That is, you try to extract the resources which are present inside the earth surface. So that is nothing but is your mining engineering. So you need to have a basic knowledge of what the rock formations are through geology. You need to know the idea of minerals. Then you need to know how mining is done. So all these things you will be studying in your mining engineering. So your Coal India, Vedanta, NMDC, these are some of the top recruiters. And your IIT Kharagpur, ISM, Indian, what is it? Indian, I forgot. Something of mines. ISM is a mining institute as such. ISM Dhanbad, then you have NIT Rourkela, Anna University, NIT Surathkal, where mining engineering is present. Then you have agricultural engineering, where you use your knowledge of biotech, you use the knowledge of civil engineering to improve the yield in the field. So agricultural engineering is considered as a derivative of civil engineering as such. So you will be studying the soil related properties, how to improve the soil properties, whether it is NPK, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium of the soil, how to improve the water content in the soil, how to reduce the water content if the water is very high in the soil. So all these things you study in agricultural engineering. You try to improve the efficiency of increase the yield in the production. You automate the process of cultivation. So that is where the agricultural engineering engineers come into picture. So any of your agri related businesses do require agricultural engineers. So you have John Deere, Mahindra, Bayer Crop. So these are some of the top recruiters which are there inside as well as in the abroad as such. So many of the agricultural universities and engineering colleges are there nowadays which offer agricultural engineering specifically, like your GB Pant University or Tamil Nadu Agricultural University. And if you see many, each and every state do have their own agricultural university as such. Next is the robotics engineering, which is again a derived branch of mechanical, in which you try to develop robots. And what do robots do? They do your work. So we human being will try to develop robots which will do our work and it will reduce our effort. So there is a saying that the robots will or do replace human beings in the future, but that can never happen because the robots do not have the power to think. So you might argue that AI is there which is going to think accordingly. So even if you see AI basically works, how it studies whatever that it has learned earlier and it will use that knowledge to reproduce the future answers. So whatever it is going to learn is not same what you have learned till now. So you have learned say up to 18 years, 20 years in your life, and whatever that you have learned till now cannot be learned by a computer within few years or so. So by the time your computer is going to learn everything, you will be much more advanced than them. And because of this, at any point of time, the computers or your robots cannot take over the human being. So there are some of the top robotic companies like your Boston Dynamics, Tata Robotics, ABB Robotics, where they develop these robots to which can be used in operations, which are used in the industries, in the manufacturing industries, in the automobile industries. So we do use the robots. So some of the colleges or institutes are IIT Kanpur, IIT Bombay, SRM, Amrita Vishwa Vidyapeetham. So all these do offer robotics engineering exclusively. So then you have biomedical engineering, where you combine your engineering with the medical field. That is, you develop prosthetics, what are the artificial legs, artificial hands that are there, artificial organs that are there. They are basically the product of biomedical engineers. And this field is growing drastically because we do require artificial organs very severely. So if you select this particular field, even though the opportunity is less, but you definitely will land in any one of the job because there are not many biomedical engineers as such. So you have GE Healthcare, you have Philips Healthcare, Johnson and Johnson, who are the top recruiters, and some of the company colleges are your IIT Delhi, VIT Vellore, Manipal University do offer biomedical engineering. So the next is metallurgical engineering, where you try to develop new metals or new equipments using the technology or the different metals that are available. So you can see that even nowadays we try to build stronger metal which is very soft or which is very malleable, that is it is going to bend very easily, because aeroplanes which flies at such high elevation of 20,000 feet or 30,000 feet, so they will be having very very huge pressure in them, and to withstand that pressure, the metallurgical engineers are the one who develop specific material that can withstand that particular pressure. And at the same time, it has to be very lightweight. If it is very heavy, it becomes difficult to fly the aeroplane as such. So, like this, the metallurgical engineers are again required because they keep on developing new materials as such, using various combination of different metals which are strong and at the same time which will be soft as well. So your Tata Steel, JSW Steel, SAIL. So they are some of the top recruiters as such. And some of the colleges which offer this is your IIT Bombay, Madras, IIT Jamshedpur, IIT BHU, IIT Surathkal. So these are some of the colleges where you can find metallurgical engineering. Next is textile engineering. So you might feel that why textile? What is there in textile? All the cloths have been already been invented. What do textile engineers do? So textile engineers are responsible for developing new types of material for your clothes. Nowadays, if you see, there are what you call water hydrophobic clothes that you wear. That is, the water doesn't stick onto the surface of your clothes. It just falls off, whether it is on the pant or whether it is on the shirt. So basically, what does that mean? That means that they are developing textiles which need not be washed because there will be no dust or anything on the cloth as such. So similarly, you need to develop clothes which can absorb your odor, which can reduce the bad odor coming outside from your body. So these type of clothes still needs to be invented or still needs to be found out. That is where your textile engineers come into picture. Apart from it, they are also required in some of the places, whether it is in the construction field or whether it is in the mechanical field, to use special fabric for protecting the land as such. And textile engineers do help them in developing such type of fabrics, which can be used for protection works in the field. So some of the companies include your textile industry firms like your Arvind Mills, Raymond. So all these companies do recruit textile engineers. Some of the colleges where textile engineering is there is in IIT Delhi, NIT Jalandhar, Anna University. The newest type of engineering that has come up is the food technology engineering. So what is food technology engineering? So basically we try to preserve the food for a very long duration. Now the Indian mangoes are very famous because it is called as the king of the fruit, and it is one of the juiciest fruit that is there. And many of the foreign people do export this, do import this fruit from India, and they eat them. And similarly, the tea that we grow, the coffee that we grow, they are very much imported by many of the foreign countries. And how can we safely transport this uh, without the fruit getting rotten? That is through your food technology engineers. So they develop technologies where you can store the food very for a very long duration of time. They do help in preserving of the vegetables. All these things are taken care by your food technology engineers. So you do have different tasteful food items regularly in your chips or any snacks that you take. That is again because of these food technology engineers. So Nestle, Britannia, all these do hire food technology engineers. So you have your CFTR, Mysore, IIFPT, Danjavur, NIT Rourkela, IIT Kharagpur. These people, sorry, do offer food technology engineering course. Next is AI machine learning engineering. So which is one of the most recently developed engineering field, which is derived from computer science, where you exclusively study related to the artificial intelligence and machine learning. So you develop new algorithms, you develop new codes, you develop new ways of learning the, I mean, you develop new ways where the computer will understand the knowledge very easily. So basically, AI and machine learning is you are teaching the computers to understand what we do as human beings. Right? So you are the teacher to the computers. So most of your tech companies, which include Google, Amazon, they recruit AI and machine learning engineers. And top colleges include your IIT Hyderabad, IISc Bangalore, all your IITs do offer this course nowadays. Next is naval architecture, which is a derived branch of marine engineering where you design the ships as such. So basically, you'll be mainly concentrating on the design of the ships. Whereas in case of marine engineering, you do concentrate on the structures that are built in the ocean and all. Whereas naval architecture basically is concentrated mainly on the shipbuilding technology. So your Indian Navy, Hyundai, there are many foreign companies which do require naval architecture. You have QSAT Kochi, Amity University, IIT Madras, which have naval architecture branch in them. Next is petroleum engineering, which is a derivative of your chemical engineering and mining engineering actually. So they help in extracting the oil from the underground very efficiently, and searching for the oil reserves. All these things are taken care by the petroleum engineers. The top recruiters include your ONGC, your ExxonMobil, your Petrobras, your Reliance. So all these are your top recruiters as such. So ISM Dhanbad, your IIT Bombay. So all these do have petroleum engineering in them. Next is, or I would say the last is that I will be talking is related to the architectural engineering. So there is a course something called as Bachelor of Architecture, which is BR, which is something different than what architectural engineering is. So you might have seen so many different shapes to the structures that are there, correct? But if you give a civil engineer to design a building, the simplest way that he is going to design is he is going to put four walls and he is going to construct a rectangular or a square building. But if you give the same building to a architectural engineer, rather than going with the square or a rectangle, he will go with circular, hexagon, octagon. So he will give a very random shape and he will tell the civil engineer to construct it. So architectural engineering is a branch where you exclusively study the construction and the development of buildings only. So you will understand how to design different shape buildings, how to bring up or how to construct this type of buildings. You study extensively or exclusively in architectural engineering. Whereas in case of civil engineering, you also study about the roads, you study about the dams and other type of structures as well. Whereas architectural engineering, you only mainly concentrate on the buildings at all. That's all. So most of the civil engineering recruiters do recruit architectural engineers as well. Your IIT Kharagpur, CEPT University, SPA Delhi, NIT Tirchi, they have this architectural engineering branch. I think till now I bugged you everything with the different types of engineering courses that are there. Now, how to get into this engineering courses? So there are many exams that are to take up after you complete your PUC or 12th. So the main exam is JEE Main and JEE Advanced, which will give you entrance to most of the IITs, NITs, triple ITs, centrally funded institutes, all the government engineering colleges that are there centrally, they get admission through this JEE Mains and JEE Advanced. Earlier you had IEEE, they merged everything together and they have come up with your JEE Main and JEE Advanced. Apart from it, individual universities do have their own exams, like your BITS Bilani has BITSAT, your VIT in the university has VIT Triple E, SRM has SRM J Triple E, Amity has Amity JEE, KL University has K Triple E, Maya has MET. Apart from it, individual states colleges do have their own entrance exam. Like in Karnataka, we have Comet K UGCET. I mean UGET. Similarly, you have Comet K PGET as well for PG courses. You in West Bengal, you have to clear WB JEE. If you are taking for in Maharashtra, then you have to clear MHT CET. In Kerala, it is KEAM, and in Andhra Pradesh, it is AP EAMCET, and Telangana it is TSEAMCET. Apart from it, there is a government college in Northeast which is called as NERIST, which has their own separate exam, which is NERIST NEE2, and KIT Bhubaneswar you have to get into by clearing a exam in KIT EE. So like this, there are many entrance exams that you will have to write, and you will have to clear these entrance exams to get admission into any of the colleges that you prefer studying in. Right? Now you might ask me, you have said, or you I have explained so much related to engineering, everything and all, but what is the use of it? What will ultimately happen once I become an engineer? So this is what the problem now all the students have. What are the career opportunities after engineering? Whether I will get into business, or whether I will get a job, or shall I study for any competitive exam? So you are basically confused. So what you can do is, this is a simple chart which will give you an idea of what after BTech or B. So there are three things that can happen after you complete your engineering course. One is you can go for higher studies, or you can get employed in any of the private firms or the government firms, or you can start your own company, which is through entrepreneurship. So if you go for higher studies, you have your MTech, MS, MBA courses which you can take up. Then you can also take some specific professional courses, like in civil engineering we have some in specific engineering exams related to civil, so which will give you directly land you with jobs. Or you can study the uh, higher subjects or higher studies, and you can further prepare for a PhD, or after MTech you can search for jobs, or you can become a entrepreneur. So if you want to study MTech or MS, you have to, in India you have to clear GATE exam. In foreign you will have to clear GRE, TOEFL or IELTS. For MBA you will have to clear CAT exam. So if you want to get employed, you can have an option of getting immediately placed, whether it is through on-campus or off-campus placement. Or if you feel that you have some time, then you can sit and you can prepare for the competitive exams like UPSC, KPSC, some IES exams. Or if you feel that I don't want to work under anybody, then you can open up your own company. You can become an entrepreneur and you can hire people as such. So you have so many options after engineering as such. You might see, or you might be seeing, that there are many engineers who are not placed or anything as such. But actually, the thing is, they might have not tried too hard, or they have not given the required effort to get placed or to work or to study as such. So if you really put into the effort, you will definitely get placed. So there are engineers who are being still recruited. There are recruitments that are going on. There are opportunities that are coming up. So it basically depends on how you're going to select your field and how well you're going to prepare for that particular uh, domain in for the future. So with this, I thank one and all who are present today. Thank you for your patient hearing. Thank you for listening to me uh, without much of a thing. And this is my email ID. If you have any queries as such, I will be happy to clear. I will be happy to reply you as such. Thank you. Thank you. And I thank the organizers once again. And I will be happy now to take any queries or any doubts if anybody has.
Thank you, Dr. Prashanth, such a elaborative presentation on career opportunities, covering all the core branches and allied branches of engineering, and how to get into them, and what will be next after their completion of engineering. So overall, one of the best presentation you have covered. And if any questions, I request the students or teachers can mention in the chat box, or raise their virtual hand, so that I can unmute them. You will speak directly to the sir and you can get clarified about your doubts, if any. Meanwhile, a few questions related to AI and generative AI. Uh, what will be the replacement of careers or manpower for engineering students who have been uh, finished, completed engineering students? The questions will be like this. So
See, and
how AI and generative AI can replace manpower?
okay. So I think I already explained it to you regarding this question in the while we were discussing actually. If you see AI, what does AI mean? Basically, the simple concept how AI works is, you feed some knowledge into the computer and it will learn from that knowledge, and then it will predict the future whenever you ask some question. So what knowledge you feed into the computer, basically that is what the computer is going to learn. So the computer, if it has to learn, it requires on its own, it requires too much amount of data, which is not available in the um, internet or anywhere as such, because apart from the data that is there in the internet, the computers need to develop cognitive thinking as well. That is what happens, say suddenly there is some vehicle that comes in front of me. As a human being, I become very responsive. I will apply brake, or I will steer my vehicle towards the safety, or something I will do. Whether the computer can do it on its own? No. Until and unless you teach them, they cannot do anything. Correct? But as a what you call, as a self-developed intuition, you know that if there is any danger, your brain will say that you have to do something. But the same thing cannot be done by the computer. It has to be taught beforehand, telling that this is a danger. If this danger comes, you have to do like this. Then only it will do, and it will proceed. So at any point of time, the AI or your computers or your robots cannot replace the human being. They might reduce the working load as such for the regular works that are there. Say, for example, regular coding has to be done. So in those places, the AI might come helpful as such. But if the code has to be debugged, then again, human being is required. So that is why I would say that human being is required, whether AI will learn more or even if it learns less.
Thank you, Dr. Prashanth. So, as of now, there are no questions from the students and teachers. If any questions they get, they can contact us or reach us. We will try to clarify your doubts. Meanwhile,
Definitely.
any last message, Dr. Prashanth, to all the students
Yeah.
who will be writing exam in the next month, and they will be preparing for CET for their
Okay.
dream come medicine, medical or engineering or any other professional courses. So,
Okay. So the one thing that I would say is, don't stress out. Don't think that this is the end of the life. See, whether you clear the exam, whether you will not clear the exam, as I have showed you, there are many opportunities that are there, even without even without engineering, or even without medical as well. Apart from it, even if you don't clear your PGCET or Comet K, whatever it is, as you can see, there are many other entrance exams that are there in other private universities, which are very good than the existing colleges. Say, if you take your Vellore VIT, or if you take your BITS Pilani, they are very well renowned colleges as such, and they do conduct their own exams. So don't worry that I will not be clearing this or something like that. What I would say is, you give your effort. Whatever the outcome that comes is not in your hand. So don't get tensed. Be calm, and all the best.
thank you very much, Dr. Prashanth.
Thank you,
Uh,
Umesh, for the opportunity.
Thank you. On behalf of KST and on behalf of all the audience present here today in all the platform, thank you very much. Also, I would like to thank all the audience who have joined with us on this presentation. Thank you. I request all the students to join tomorrow regarding quantum science, quantum physics uh, at 4:30
Nice.
p.m. and request to share the details to other your teachers or your friends or classmates from other colleges also. With this, I also once again thank all the academic staff and department for supporting this program. Thank you one and all. Stay tuned with us till tomorrow 4:30. Thank you. Thank you one and all.
Thank you. Thanks again. Bye.
Bye, Dr. Prashant, stay with us.
Okay.